onegaishimasu.
Okie dokie, we'll go a little bit loosely. Yes, use the vertical. And a little bit with the arms. Elevate back, head over. Okay, and then just go into a kind of forward backwards. And this was kind of interesting for me because it's video, kind of issue of balance. And just play a little bit with the weight as it kind of falls forward, falls backwards. Just play a little bit with the body and just listen to what happens as you kind of tilt the body out of balance and to the front and also to the back. Just play a little bit with it. All out of balance, also okay. Just feel what happens with the body. It's very interesting to feel what happens when the body comes out of balance. Also play in this case with the feet kind of separated. So you can do it. Just play a little bit with the positioning of also the back foot, because you can do this in a kind of hand-me way. Or you can do this in a way like a kind of wide kind of lunge position. And again, just experiment with the feet. So just play a little bit. Really trying to mobilize the feet as well, so we working the heels, toes. Just play a little bit. And then just taking it into a side to side. Yes, let the body sway. And it's quite nice to kind of start to mobilize the lower back, because we don't tend to do this kind of movement through the day, not normally. Just also you can play a little bit with just putting your hands here. These two little muscles on small of the back. You also feel them start to kind of activate through it. And I don't want them to be in tension through the movement. I do want them to start to kind of switch off in a way, because we use these muscles actually use a lot, or we rely on them a lot, especially for weapons work, especially sword. I want these muscles to be really kind of switched on. Just kind of use the hands, feel what's happening in there. And also start to play now with the kind of circular movement. And again, just feel that area, these two points in the body. Just listen to what's happening to them. They should hopefully be quite relaxed. You should also feel as you kind of go through the full range of motion, especially out to the sides. You feel them start to activate. And I usually use the hands in this case on the hips. Just bring the hands a little bit to the hips and just into the kind of press hip off the hip. Just again, just feel what's happening. Hopefully it shouldn't feel tight. It should feel quite relaxed, quite loose, quite soft. Just feel what happens as you go through this movement. So choose direction. Keep going. Okay, and then just work here. Keep the hands on the hips. It's a kind of strange movement, but work with now a kind of figure of 8. And really, also in this case, really mobilize it. So you're going to kind of, there can also be a kind of rise and fall in it. So the hips are kind of doing this kind of thing. So just play a little bit with it. And again, it's just trying to kind of mobilize the hip. That's good. And then we're just kind of working at the knees a little bit. So you're working with the wave. Just be really aware now of the knee joint. You just let the body work a little bit into this kind of wave. Kind of small, very small move. So nice and small. Feel the feet can also really release into the ground. So when we tend to do this, when I tend to do this in the morning, I tend to find that the feet are going so kind of clinging. So they're kind of doing this into the ground. So see if more and more you can release the knee towards the heel of the foot. Just let the foot, especially the toes, feel that they can release into the ground. So feel that they're quite relaxed. Kind of with the toes. Just open it out a little bit more. Really start to work the knees down as you go. And again, really, the more you kind of mobilize the movement down, really feel that the weight's going to sink almost through the back of the knee and into the heel of the foot. Just see if you can get that kind of feeling. And if you like to kind of get the counter feeling, feel what it's like when you go into the kind of front of the movement, the front of the knee, and then you fall into the toes, and feel the difference that makes to the body. Not only in terms of balance, and this is kind of linked, but the balance will cause tension in the body. So the loss of balance will cause you to go into tension, or you fall over. So in this case, just feel what it's like to kind of come into the front, into the toes, and then it basically does this to the body. The whole body, the lower body just locks. Feel the difference then going to the heel. And hopefully you should feel more balanced and also more free. So you should feel free. Start to really kind of open the movement out. If you can bring the hands to the floor, just kind of scraping a little bit of the floor and then opening out to the back. So really mobilizing everything. And then this really exaggerates the sense of a closing movement and then opening movement. So the body's closing up and down. The top and the bottom. And if you feel the need to yawn through this movement, this is actually really good. It's a kind of good sign. And your body starts to wake up, hopefully. And we're just going to go to these swings. So a very similar movement and a similar focus in the knees. So just allow the hands to come up. And just start with now, you've got a much more, basically the body's much more in a kind of vertical alignment. And I'm just doing this with the body. So just allow the body to now, the upper body to just fall onto the toes, but fall onto the foot, don't fall onto the toes. So it's quite dynamic, but also quite structured as well. So I'm really falling into the structure of the body. Wait. That's okay. Let's keep going. Just take a look. So. So as well as this exercise about the elbows, think of this as also about it's not only about it's not only about the knees, it's also about the elbows. So it's about the connection between the knees and the elbows. The major point of it for me is the knees, because that's the major joint in terms of structure. The knee comes first because it's lower. So in this case, just think about the connection now into the elbow. So you can do this, and a lot of the time I show it in a way that's very dynamic, like this stretching up and then dropping down, and also within the hands, you can come back. You can also do it this way. But in this case, just think about the elbows being very heavy, and it's as if there's a weight attached to the elbow. So as it comes up, really feel that it's kind of dense and heavy, and then swing it down. So feel all the time, it's as if the knee and the elbow are connected, and as the knee basically drops through the foot, basically drags the arm down. So you've got this kind of quality in the movement. So just do a few now. Just focusing on this connection between elbow and knee. Obviously, you can make any connection in the body and make it work, but these are the kind of major ones. So the first one is the knees and elbows. Just feel as the arm comes up, this kind of heaviness. That's it. That's it. Nice. Great.
Mike?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on two devices because I don't know, for some reason I can't hear you on my phone.
Okay, no problem.
One I can hear you and the other one I can see you. Sorry.
Or you can hear me. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. So then we go to the hips and later we go to the shoulders. The first one, just start with this rotation, because we didn't do it at the beginning. This is a nice way. First step to the hips. And for me, this exercise is really perfect because it's prioritizing the hip movement. So we go to the connection with the shoulders next, but just for now, just like that. Just rotate the hips. It's a really simple exercise. Very super relevant for us in terms of Aikido work. And just watch one thing in terms of this move. As you come down, there's a tendency to go into the instep of the foot, or the inside of the foot. So just be aware of where the weight's being placed through the foot. So again, it's better. You'll find it better that I kind of focus more on the heel than on the foot as a kind of whole. So if I think about the weight shifting down to the kind of anchor foot, I think about dragging down to the heel, and that usually helps me to kind of center the foot, center the weight in the foot. Otherwise, the tendency is to fall into the front and to go into these kind of positions where basically the structure is not as sound as it could be. So just look for this idea of draining to this one. Yes. And then we just bring in the shoulders and the arms. So to go to this position out to the side, and then twist it, then come back. Just come up and then twist it. So it's almost exactly the same thing's happening with the hips. And now you want to get the feeling that the hips are connected into the shoulders. So again, feel the connection now between the hips. This is the next major one, hips to shoulders. So feel that the hip basically releases the shoulder. And just play a little bit with it. So you can do this in a way, I want to loosen the hands or loosen the arms, and then just feel I kind of connect to it. Just kind of connect to it, and then I just kind of toss it. And connect, connect, and then I'll just kind of toss it. Keep going. And I'll just continue, just one point about this one. There's in a way, there's kind of two extremes with this. One of them is that I kind of rock the position forward and I end up kind of with this, where even if the hips and even if the hip and the shoulder are free, and basically I've blocked the spine. So there's basically no the connection between them is basically been kind of cut off with a rigidity in the spine. And the other way is where I basically twist out. So basically the spine's too mobile. So the spine's over mobile. And it basically means that the spine's going to basically get twisted out and up. So just see if you can, if you feel you're in this kind of camp, or you feel you're in this kind of camp, just see if you can basically center the movement again. And it's just about, again, focusing on the back of the body and really letting the weight spiral down all the time. So just, and the idea of these exercises is really to create a kind of connected, centered body. So the more I can feel the weight drain down, the more the structure can just settle into the body, the better. And the added things are also used for kind of relaxing the joints. So that's good. Good. Nice. And then we go to the major joint, which is really the shoulder, loosening the shoulder. So this one's a kind of extra one. For us, especially to loosen the shoulder is important because of the weapon work center overweight the shoulder. So just working out this one, front and back. I'm just going to kind of spread. Good. Just increase the movement, loosening, so you can get the hands just to come above the head, just above the head, and see if you can really find again this kind of center of the movement. It's a little bit like when we do these bokken moves or Dojo movements, the hands come above the head, these kind of positions. I want to kind of find this kind of stacking here, so there's a feeling the whole body stacks to one point. You've got a really clear center line in the movement, and you've got a point of focus which is in the center of the body. These are kind of aligning right at that point. There. There. And just start to basically unlock the movement so you can basically just work in one way. The arms just kind of carry over. And carry over. That's. And obviously the other major connection where we tend to start with Aikido work is hands and feet. So just focus now, just the hands, and just the feet. So just feel what's happening between them. And there's a kind of direct connection between handwork and feeling in the feet. Yes. And you can also just change the direction. Yeah, that's better now. Good. Okay. So just shake the hands out, just a little bit. Yeah, it's nice and heavy. Just shake them out kind of forwards, go to the feet. Side. And just circling the arms. You can play with a kind of, in a way, kind of very fluid motion. And you can also play with a kind of pulse through the arms, like a kind of, you can kind of throw the arm, throw the handle. And just come back to the center, and just like to bring the whole body into movement. Feel the feet really grounded, the weight's really settling in the back now. And just trying to really center these 6 connections, this vertical, side to side, and the front and back. Just try and bring everything into one point. And just slowly, slowly make the movement smaller and smaller. And you can kind of come to a stop. Okay. Good. So take a bokken, please. Good. Okay. I didn't have freestyle class yesterday, so I'm going to go to more of a structured class today. So we're going to go, just start from here, come up into the command, just go straight into the first suburi. Keep it nice and slow. Movements. Keep reaching the back and the front. Okay, good. And just come over to the left side. So do exactly the same. Just find the kamae on the left, roll right to the back, and then find the left side curve. Right to the back, and then dropping through into the hammy. Wash. Okay, I want you to focus on just one thing. So you can play with left side, right side. It doesn't actually matter because they're actually in essence the same. You're going to focus on the very same thing. So what I want to put, what the great thing about the Shomanuchi work is that it's really linear, very vertical, and the connection to the center line is very clear. So what it gives me is really an opportunity to train this point, which is basically where everything comes towards one point in the body. So this is a perfect, the first was really a perfect thing to work with, a perfect movement to work with, because everything just concentrates into one point. So really find the back, really find the vertical in the body, and then keep it and focus everything, boom. Everything just kind of lines up together. And it's a really perfect movement for looking for this. So just play with left side and right side as well. Just look for this one point where everything just falls into place. Everything just that. And you've also got this concentration at the end with the grip, where basically everything's going to go boom and kind of fall in together. Just give it a try. And this is really, for me, this is the perfect movement for it because it's so simple. Okay, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay, good. Good. And this movement is perfect for me in terms of feedback because it's very clear when it does happen, and that means it's super, super clear when it doesn't happen. So this is very clear when I do this move, if I get a sense of everything has at the end of the cut, everything's doing, it's like the camera going blurry, everything goes, but if I basically want the feeling, and this is like everything goes crystal clear. So everything should have a feeling of, whoa, that wasn't so good. Everything should have a feeling of really clarity through the movement. And it basically means everything's just coming together. And that doesn't mean I'm kind of contracting. It means I'm actually expanding out. But the whole movement has a kind of a very singular focus. Boom and out. But everything's, just watch for those points when 9 times out of 10, everything's is blurry. So just look for that 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 sometimes, 1 in 50, maybe on a bad day. Just look for that one cut where it's everything feels totally in place. So just use this. This is the kind of feedback from the cut. Yeah, good. That's it. Yeah, nice. Good. Okay. And one point on this work, I do this all the time with this kind of work, whatever it is with Taina Henko, or and also with partner work. It's a bit more difficult with partner work because then you're looking at a thing of a wasa. So for me, solo work's very much more clear in terms of working this kind of work. The main thing when I do this work is don't get into, in a way, judging yourself. So in a way, there's a tendency to come into that and think, oh, again, it's off. Again, and you can get kind of pissed with yourself, but don't get pissed with yourself. Just be, you're basically going to be like you're basically like a passenger in the movement, and I just want to notice what's happening with it. So I just want to feel like, oh, that was a good one, but in a way, good's the wrong word. So it's not about good and bad, it's about just feeling what's happening, and I'm just going to kind of, the other thing you can do is you can do a good one and then celebrate it. Yeah, it was really great, but you've got to do it again, so it doesn't matter. So, and nobody's really counting. So, just have the sense that you're just kind of passively observing it, which is a kind of strange feeling, but it also gets me away from this idea of better, good. Don't really care about that kind of stuff. So, I'm actually just interested in the quality of the connection. much easier to find on the right side than the left. Just play, make sure you play also on the left side. Good, great. Good, 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 good. Okay, go now to Zengoku, and I'm just going to say one point. It's actually about one point, which is actually where the focus is in the body. So where you're concentrating all that point from is the center of the body. So really, and for me also, Shomunushi, again, it's very clear because the line through the center line is almost exact. It's very precise. So just feel it as you contain everything into the movement. That focus is the point in the center of the body. So just go to that point and let everything expand out from there, which is totally different from being externally based and cutting out. So if my focus is in something outside, I can get pulled out, so where everything gets drawn out. So really think about the center of the body, which is really the center of the body. Just see if you can have this quality of stabilizing it. And then once you've got that, just go into Zengo. So do now a bit like this kind of practice. I'm not going to go directly into the Zengoku, but I'm going to go when I feel it's totally connected. It's connected, and then I go. No. Yeah, and then I go. So just kind of work your way into the Zengoku, Kiwi. But it's basically, I'm only going to go when I feel it's 90% connected. So just take your time with it. Really feel that one point, which is really, really, really the center of the body. Everything's going to kind of extend out from there. There. And hopefully the more you do this kind of practice, focused practice, the more you can get into the kind of 90% region, or maybe 80 today. 80. Oh yeah, that's it. Oh, nice, nice, nice. That's it. Good. Good. Okay, so we're going to go into number 2. So just again, take your time. Again, really feel that the center line of the body. Again, it's really going to meet up. So this line through the body, the center, everything's kind of lining up, and then you find the back, come through and find the cut. Just again, keep that kind of focus. Now, the main difference, obviously, between the first and the second is you've got an advancing movement. So you've got a movement back, and then you've got an advance forward with it. So it's got a really different kind of quality. But what I'm looking for is that same sense of stacking through the body, releasing towards the ground. Just play with number 2. And try and make it as calm as possible, but also really as grounded and settled as possible. So everything should just settle into the ground. Okay, and just play with this one because this for me the really hard part is the hips coming forward and making the cut. So the main problem with this is that as I come through this movement, I kind of leave the ground and then cut through. So you end up with this kind of movement. But in actual fact, if you think about this movement, you're in a kind of upward position with the sword, and then I'm basically taking that connection down straight into the ground. Now, as we do that, we find the back. So there's a tendency for you to kind of jump out as we make the movement, because I do it too. So as you do this one, I'm just going to add an extra move. You come to here. Now keep this foot on the ground. Just reach for the back and find this movement. So I'm just going to come and show from here, find this position, and then I'm basically going to kind of release through the back foot into the front foot, and then find this position. So I'm really kind of stacking the body, but I'm in a very secure position. And then from here, press the hips through. And find that. See, I'm basically adding an extra movement. It doesn't really exist in the movement, but it's just to emphasize the hips. And I want really the feeling from this position to this, that the hips basically hug the ground. So the hips don't get pulled up. The hips drop down. And then from here, the hips sink in. This way. So just try add this movement. Just a kind of slight transition in the posture. That's it. Good. It might feel a bit strange because we're used to blending this all together. Good. Nice. Yeah. Okay. And just watch one. There's a little bit of a trap in terms of finding the back. I always use the term find the back because there's a tendency. It happens also in the first suburi of kind of throwing towards the back. Where I basically do this with the arms in a way, kind of throwing. It's like throwing the sword behind me, and this happens a little bit more usually in the second suburi. There's a sense of this, and basically kind of throw the arms, the shoulders get thrown back. So just think about when you do this, just find the back. So just think about finding the back, which basically means I'm releasing through it. I'm not, in this case, pulling the body back, and then the body gets pulled kind of forward. So just think about, as you come through, start to blend this now back together, but think about find the back, cut through. So that movement should have a really kind of centered quality. Goes here, release, focus. So that finding the purpose of finding the back is to really release the shoulders through the movement. And if in finding the back I create tension, and I'm actually acting counter to the intention of the movement. So just see, find this, release. And the shoulder all the time should have a sense of freedom, especially in that movement where you find the back. Just keep going. That's it. Nice. Very nice. Great. That's it. Yeah, good. Great. So. Okay, we just take this now into Zengo Giri as well. So the first one, just come back, find the basic. Now you're going to rotate over to the left side and just roll up into the kamai. Here, the key point of this one is it's very easy as I rotate through to kind of go to this position. Let's see, I'm working on a in a horizontal position with the sword, but work from this and really try and enter into the spiral and find this kind of high position with the sword. Drop to the shoulders, drop to the back, and then cut. Release. Cut. This is a really nice move. So it's big spiral here. That big spiral. Big spiral through the movement. Yeah, good. Nice. So there's always in any movement, for me, there's always two camps of people and there's a middle ground. So there's basically these two extreme options and the middle choice. In this case, there's a little bit happening. The main one that's happening is that there's a sense of raising from the top, this kind of position, and then basically stacking. So there's a feeling of this, the body gets pulled out, and then the stack happens, and then the cut happens this way. The other camp is working the opposite way, so it's kind of coming this way, and then raising. So it's kind of being raised from the ground, but it's being raised in a kind of stiff way, like this. So look for this middle ground, which is actually a flexibility in the elbow. And this is where we work Marotadori, all these kind of movements. What I want is, in essence, I'm in this position, and then I just enter straight into the spiral, and I'm flexible in the arm when this happens. That was a little bit down, but in this case, look for the center to basically press in and spiral the arm up. So the center presses, the arm spirals, but I don't do and I don't do So just look for the sense that you're going to coil the body, the center into the movement. That, and then the cut. That, and then the cut. So there's a kind of direct option with the body. That's the one I'm looking for, and it's basically it means I'm working with a spiral. These are kind of a tricky point for Zoom. I'm going to show you, maybe it doesn't work at all. I never tried this. So in this case, what's happening a little bit, if I think in terms of partner work or actually relating to any kind of object, I need a sense in this movement that I'm kind of softening into the movement. So if I'm working the center, I basically need to soften in and then expand out. Now, most of us, when we work, we do one of two things. We either give the center to the other person and then never really take it, or we try and take it from the person. So we try and do something where we're basically forcing the person out of the center with strength, or we just do it in a way where there's no real sense of extension out. So just in this case, really feel that you're going to kind of go into the center and then expand out of it this way. So that basically translates into this, the difference between pushing the cord out, not really doing anything with it, or kind of sinking the center in and then expanding out from it. But that first moment needs a quality where I move into it. So it needs that kind of softening. There's a softening of the whole body. If I always have a kind of hardness, then everything happens on the external. So I need to basically soften to get in, and then I need to expand out to kind of retake the center. So expand in, extend out. And if you want, just play with this kind of Martialarts movement, kind of empty-handed because it's a bit clearer. So you sink in, expand out. But this quality is exactly the same. So that moment of really blending with the sword means the center's coming in and then expanding. Yeah, you're good. And again, there's technical points, but it's mainly a kind of feeling. It's mainly feeling. That's it. Yeah, that's it. John, good. Good. Yeah. Nice. So, good. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few moves which, in a way, kind of challenge this ability to connect to the center. So the basic 1-2 Suburi are really kind of key to this. But I'm just going to start now with this, coming down, finding the cut, and then from here, what I want to do is come up to this position here. Just that. So just that move, just add an extra movement. Just 1, reach the back, 2, and then really spring out that and find this movement here. And then just release down. So just adding an extra move. That. Cut, and then that. Just snapping right out. And then release it. And the focus is the same, really connecting this kind of one to this one point in the center and snapping it out. Yeah. Okay, good. So I'll demonstrate the two camps in this movement. The two camps are, I stay everything external, everything pushes out, so it comes to this position. The other camp is that everything comes towards the body and then pushes out this way. So they both involve kind of externally pushing the arms. So in this case, really look for equality. This comes really from the ski work. The center presses in and then the arms kind of follow it. So it's a bit like the second one, but the second one of kind of pulling in and then pushing out is a kind of artificial way to do it. So in this case, you've got this, and then feel that the center presses in. The center presses in, the arms soften, and then they snap. So it's always got this quality of connecting to the center. So just see if you can get something a little bit more flexible. That. The key things are really don't leave the body. So just watch for getting into these kind of positions. So really focus on grounding the body. So just start nice and calm. And just stretching the body so that it's impacting up. And try not to pull the body up at all. Yes. Yeah, good. Good. So, good. Good. And then we just add another move. So these are all kind of trying to challenge the center in a way. So you come now here like this. You come up, and then what you're going to do is step from the back leg. You're probably used to doing this in the first kumitachi if you do it. You come through and then snap through. I just want you to focus on that third move. So come here, back, strike, release up, and then from here release the movement down, snap, and then bring the feet together. It's like this. This is different from the first suburi where we come from the first kumitachi. You come here into this position, and you come up high. In this case, don't come up high. Just come here, strike, release up, and then here, this. And just coming into this kind of position. So I'm just letting the sword follow the hips. So don't bring the sword up in this one. That's it. Good. Okay, good. I'll show you the two camps in this one. So this is really clear. So this, the first camp is everything gets pulled out because the people that do this one tend to be here in this move. So as they come into this move, everything gets pulled forward. So the body gets basically yanked forward. The second group is a different case. You come here this way, and then to make this movement, I pull back and then I strike it like this. And this is, it feels very powerful. It feels great. But it's actually very, very slow and very inefficient, and it will never work in kind of encounter. So this, in this case, really look for something that's very direct, but also very balanced. That. So it's very, very simple, very direct. So I'm always looking to kind of simplify the movement. We've got this center, and then center. That just goes to that position. And it should feel at the end like kind of sitting down on a big bar stool. It's got that kind of quality of really resting at the end. That's it, good. And the main one in this is don't pull the weapon back to create the strike. That's it, much better. Good. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, and then just one more move. So in essence, the encounter would be probably finished if this if you manage to pull this off in the event of a sword duel in the street. The person would basically be boom, totally out in the ground. So, but in the case of if you think nothing's ever finished, you're always going to move to the next encounter. So what I'm going to do is just an extra move. You come through. This. You come to this position. Now from here, what I want to do is just again, really challenge the flexibility in the body. The feet are together, and then I'm going to really unlock the move from the hips, and I'm going to find this position. So I'm going to just slice to the back. So you can add now a slice, a really complicated movement actually. Go back, strike, bring the body up, slice to the front here, and then what you're going to do is rotate everything back. So everything's going to roll back, and then I unlock it that way and slice through this way. So in a sense, this is opening out to the back. 1, 2, 3 here, and then really open everything out that way. Very tricky movement to do. So I really need the body to be balanced. Just give it a try. It goes here. 1, 2, 3. Probably can't see it at all, but give it a try. Okay, good. So in a way, think about slicing someone to the rear, or someone else is coming. Good. Oh. Whoa. Nice. Good. 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 So there's basically only one camp in this. Because this movement's so kind of fine, precise, you can do it one way or do it really badly. So the two camps in this way is in a sense where I'm really balanced, and then I can feel that the hips ground through the movement. I just release it. And then the other way is where I'm just basically out of balance. Now I'm mostly out of balance as I do it. So it is, and then the body gets pulled out. So just finding a way you're working with a spiraling movement again. But because of the nature of this movement that you're very in a tight base, you can do it in balance or you can do it really out of balance. So it's just a question of how much balance I can do the movement with. So if you like just the last few, just play a little bit from this position. Just coming through, feet together, and then really feel the hips ground that movement down. So in this case, it's not a case of two camps, it's a case of being in balance, more in balance than out of balance. So that's basically your two. Good. That's it. Very nice. And it's really kind of spiraling movement. That's it. Very nice. And then if you like, just play with a little bit. You come here, just play with the slice. So you can basically really open it out. You can go into any direction in a way you can re-engage the original person and come back onto it. Or you can really roll out to the back. And you can also play with different heights. So you've got this. So basically coming down to the move. So just the last few, just play a little bit. You can also play with the hands a little bit in this move. So just explore a little bit. Different options. Phrase of movements. Oh. Screen. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Wow. Whoosh. Nice. Very nice. Good. Okay, we'll stop there. Then obviously, the next level from that is you can do it in full speed or full flow. So you just flow straight through. Hit the slice through the neck. So that's also the next step. But play with variety systems as well. Hey, domo. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.